Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered The Tale of the Vacant Lot, a Kiki story about an average girl who makes a deal with a hag to become popular. Tonight's narrative, from Gary, is about a shy kid who purchases a door that lets him see into the future. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 5, Episode 12, The Tale of a Door Unlocked. We open on the gang having their fortunes read by Gary using a magic crystal ball. His fortunes are kind to some.
I see that Kiki has an incredible voice, and she'll someday be a famous singer.
Kiki, why are you wearing one of Frank's flannel vests? Wait a minute. You know, it's always been my opinion that Gary murdered the kids who moved away, but I assumed that Tucker was his accomplice. It appears I was mistaken, and that Kiki was the murderous sidekick all along.
I'm gonna smack you.
I've already forgotten what I just said. Moving on. While Gary offers fortunes to most, he does give some misfortunes to others.
Stig will be a professional wrestler. Yes!
Come on, Gary. Stig looks like a pro wrestling fan. If you wanted to upset him, you should have predicted him, I don't know, working a desk job at some nameless corporation. Anyway, he also takes a jab at Tucker.
He'll clean elephant cages at the zoo.
You know, Gare Bear, I've got a magic fortune-telling ball as well. Is Gary about to tell a stupid story involving magic featuring Mr. Sourdough? That's Sardo. No Mr. Accent on the dough. When the hell did Mattel start putting that answer in there? With his demonstration out of the way and his little brother irate, Gary begins the preamble to his story. He says his tale is about looking into the future. Sure, it could be cool, but what if the future you saw wasn't a good one? Would you just wait for it to happen, or would you try to change it? It's a tale as old as time, right? The twist of these kinds of stories is that when you try to change the future, you end up causing the future you saw. The most known of these is the Greek myth about Oedipus. King Laius of Thebes was told by a prophet that his son would one day kill him and marry his mother. The son's mother, not the king's mother. Anyway, Laius orders the baby killed, but a servant spares him and sends him to another kingdom where he's adopted. Later in life, Oedipus, the former baby, now adult man, learns of the prophecy and tries to return home. On the way, he encounters Laius on the road and kills him, not knowing who he is. Oedipus then solves the riddle of the Sphinx, which makes him the new king of Thebes, resulting in him marrying the queen, his mother, neither of which realize this until later, at which point the queen hangs herself. Well, now we see where George R.R. Martin got all his best ideas from.
Cool.
The tale begins outside a dilapidated old house with a danger sign out front. We see two teen boys approaching the outside. One of them is our main character, Justin, and the other is his friend, Ben. Ben is talking about girls he'd like to ask to an upcoming dance. As they get closer to the house, a group of boys, I believe the technical term is a crash of boys. Now, some might say pride or pack is more appropriate, but those of us in the scientific community know better. Anyway, a crash of boys exit the house. One of them is Justin's younger brother, Michael. Justin tells him he's not supposed to go in that house, to which Michael replies,
You're not supposed to go in there. What are you, Mom's spy?
What the hell was that accent? If these two were raised in the same house, shouldn't they have a similar vocal quality? Anyway, Justin asks Ben if he wants to buy a little brother, to which Ben says,
Nah, I already got a lizard.
Are we sure that Ben and Michael aren't brothers? Also, Ben, Bubby, I'm your white knight. You need to murder that f***ing lizard when you get home before it bites you once, bites you twice. Something. The Maury twins are nice. I can't remember. Anyway, just get it before it gets you.
Did you see yourself going to the nut house?
We learn that Michael has a dumb club where they bring new members to the old house to scare them as part of the initiation. Oh, getting a little meta with our stories, eh, Gary? I mean, more blatantly than usual. Anyway, Justin asks Ben if he believes the stuff about the old house, to which Ben replies,
What? Old Mr. Albert haunts the place? So, who are you gonna ask to the dance?
What the f*** was that? I'm gonna blame two people for what just happened, neither of whom are the actor. First, that is a poorly written line. Ben was asked a question. He sort of repeats the question with additional details for the viewer. Good so far. He then doesn't answer, just takes a beat and then asks about the dance. All that was needed to make this less awkward and still show that Ben has girls on the brain is one word. What? Old man Albert haunts the place? Nah. So, who are you going to ask to the dance? Easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl. Or boy. The other person I'm going to blame here is the director, because he told the actor that that take was fine. Also, weird side note. I put the closed caption on for this line because I couldn't tell if the actors were saying Albers or Albert, and I noticed a funny thing.
What? Old Mr. Albert haunts the place? So, who are you gonna ask to the dance?
The closed caption indicates that he said, "I can't believe that," in between the other two lines while he's, making that someone farted face. I have replayed this clip over 20 times with the audio turned up super loud, and this is the audio for that line in the episode. That is not a line. That is a heavy sigh at most, okay? And I checked the video on the official Are You Afraid of the Dark YouTube channel, just in case the audio on my Voodoo digital copy was weird, and they're the same. So either they did one take, or the sound guy missed the audio cutting out, and this was the best take out of all the other takes, or they knew about the sound issue and still thought that was the best take. And that's a problem. Okay, but look, I'm sure this was just a one-time thing, and we're not going to see any more bad line deliveries this episode. Right, Magic 8 Ball? Reply hazy, ask again later. Uh-oh.
How interesting.
We learn that Justin is shy and chokes up even when looking at a girl. A claim he denies, but Justin, come on. Okay? I was a shy nerd too, and we can smell our own. My signature move in high school was writing poetry and staring longingly from afar, which actually did pay off once, but only because a friend of mine stole a poem I wrote and gave it to the girl I wrote about. It was at this point that I discovered that I'm still shy and awkward even when dating a girl. But man, what a sweet 2 weeks that was.
Consider yourself lucky.
On the street, Ben runs into a pedestrian and they have one of those classic situations where two unstoppable objects meet, trajectories are thrown off, items are dropped, and no one says anything to anyone. Sorry, no. At the very least, someone would have said, "Hey, watch it," and if tempers were raised, someone probably would have dropped an F-bomb. See? I can PG down the language and not give bleep for saying f***. Oh, f***.
Stop being strange.
As Ben recovers his books, he sees a girl he wants to ask out and says,
Give us, will ya?
"I'm sorry, you want to run that by me again, but in English this time? We should not need subtitles for this kid." Also, because these are stories being told, I always like to imagine these bad line reads as they're being said by the storyteller. Like, we're seeing Gary attempt an accent, but through the lens of this actor. Anyway, Justin glassages into a store where he admires Ben's confidence. Fortunately for him, the shopkeeper is someone who can help.
What was that? I didn't quite hear. You'd give anything for what?
Sardo asks what Justin's problem is. It takes some coaxing, but Justin finally tells him, which results in my favorite Sardo line. Nay, just favorite line of the episode.
I got this thing with girls.
Don't we all?
Justin explains that he's afraid to ask a girl out because he's afraid they'll say no and he'll look like a total geek. Yeah, the truth of that statement stings a little bit. Sardo says that he has just what Justin needs and proceeds to rummage through a cabinet. We do hear the mention of super specs before Sardo presents a door, presumably from Barbie's hunting lodge. It wasn't a big seller. Sardo claims the door can show Justin the future. Justin is skeptical but asks the door a question. Nothing initially happens, but when Sardo steps away to take a call, it starts tap dancing before... Justin is sold. Sardo claims the door is one of a kind and highballs the price at $64.95, which is astronomical. For reference, the Game Boy Pocket came out in 1996 and was priced at $69.99. And look, I don't blame Sardo for his high prices. I blame Gary, since his dad's magic shop front business is pulling down so much money that Gary is living like the kid from Blank Check. Minus the trying to date an adult woman. Sardo ends up selling the door for $10, and we quickly learn that it is not one of a kind. At school, Justin tries to show Ben the magic door, but it doesn't do anything until Ben leaves the room. When it finally does show a vision, Justin sees the same girl that he saw the first time, only in close-up this time around. She is calling out for someone named Brad. Later that night, while in his room, the door starts tap dancing again. This time, when Justin peeks through the slider, the vision is not so pleasant. Sorry, there was some sort of a hiccup in the playback. This is the clip with the audio cleaned up. Justin returns to Sardo's shop the next day, seeing the second door in the window. He confronts Sardo about it, and like a master salesman, Sardo covers flawlessly.
Are a match set, and so you see they are one of a kind. Both of them, sort of. All right, there are two of a kind, so sue me.
Okay, so the guy's not a closer, which, is usually why he's losing on the deal. Justin wants to know who he is seeing behind the door. Sardo is surprised it works, but tries to cover. He tests the door himself, but really just uses the opportunity to try to interest Justin in a marionette that looks like the Crimson Clown wearing a disguise. I mean, that makes sense. The Crimson Clown was a Gary story. Anyway, Sardo doesn't believe Justin and sends him packing. As Justin passes by the window to the store again, someone switches on a smoke machine behind the other tiny door. Back at school, Ben teases Justin about his door, and he takes it quite well.
I saw a girl hurt in a fire, and if that's really the future, then somebody's in a lot of trouble. And there's nothing I can do, because I don't even know who she is.
Why are you yelling at me? I thought we were mirror reflections of each other, just two nerds who are afraid to talk to girls, but these violent outbursts are becoming a problem, and there's nothing I can do about it, because you don't even know I exist! Okay, yep, nope, I see it now. We're exactly the same. My apologies.
Yeah, right.
On cue, as Justin exclaims he doesn't know who the girl is, a new girl is introduced to the class. This is Ashley, and she has such a glow about her that Ben has to put his shades over his eyes. After class, Justin starts stalking Ashley, but runs into an open locker. Who leaves their locker open when they're not at it? That is how you get your 10-page report on European socialism stolen.
Who gives a crap if they're socialists? They could be fascist anarchists. It still wouldn't change the fact that I don't own a car.
Fair point. While not part of the plan, this does force an introduction to Ashley, though Justin makes it weird almost immediately.
Have you ever been trapped in a burning building?
No? What kind of question is that?
Okay, maybe we lay off the fire questions.
Oh, by any chance, is your father a firefighter?
Damn it, Justin! Anyway, we learn that Justin's brother has made friends with Ashley's brother. Her, step-brother? Half-brother? There is no way those two people came from the same parents. Later, in the lunchroom, Justin is using my signature move while still fixated on the fire thing, which results in another awkward exchange.
What is it with you and fire?
It's kind of a hobby, yeah.
Okay, Justin said fire is his hobby. Is that one of the top answers on the board for this situation? Oh, I'm so sorry, Justin, but we do have some lovely parting gifts for you, including a copy of the home game. Okay, look, you're not making a good first impression. Thankfully, I don't think you can make things any worse.
No!
Okay, time out. Before this goes where I think it's going, Justin, you saw through the same little window I did, and Ashley was alone, wearing a leather jacket, in a big dark room, and got crushed by a fiery beam. Okay, since we have none of those elements here, I need you to take a breath and not turn into a complete nutbag. Time in. You try. You try to lead them to greener pastures and they just want to smoke the grass. I give up. I mean, who knows? Maybe she loves having an impromptu wet t-shirt contest. Let's find out.
Are you crazy? What do you do that for?
Okay, cut! Can we get one of the other extras in here? What? A producer's niece? Okay, Hey, let's try that line again, but maybe, like a human would say it this time. What did you do that for? Nope. Try again. What did you do that for? Okay, let's do one more. Just one more. What did you do that for? You know what? We'll just use the first take. The friend, who's not good with words, gives Ashley her jacket. So, as it turns out, Justin, just like King Lias, is making the future he's trying to prevent. Later, back at the Alberts' house, Michael brings Ashley's little brother there to initiate him into the crash. Brad heads into the house and makes his way upstairs. Meanwhile, at Justin's house, he discovers a hidden key in the tiny door's side panel. The key is marked with the word "in" on one side. Ashley calls Justin's house looking for her brother. Justin apologizes for his behavior earlier, and we see that Ashley has changed shirts and is no longer wearing the letter jacket, so crisis averted, I guess. Ashley says that she needs to get her brother before dinner burns, which gives Justin another case of the crazies.
Burns? Dinner burning? Hello, Ashley?
At the Albert house, Michael and the boys scare Brad using some sheets and a candle, though how Brad didn't know those were human arms and not chair arms is beyond me. Outside the house, we see Ashley approaching. Quick question. Why are you wearing that jacket again? It made sense earlier because your t-shirt was soaked. You have since been home and changed shirts and almost undoubtedly own your own jacket. So why this one, other than that the story needs you to? It would have made more sense if she called Justin from school, like a payphone or something, while still wearing the same outfit, just with the shirt finally dry. She's calling to tell her brother to meet her at home, and this prompts the search. The way they did this just ruins what I thought was a clever plot. Anyway, Ashley sees her brother's bike outside the house and calls for him, resulting in...
Let's bolt.
Ashley heads in to look for her brother, but the boys sneak out behind her, letting us see that someone set the smoke machine to high intermittent bursts. At Justin's house, he threatens his sister with snitching to Mom if she doesn't tell him where their brother went. I was gonna say something earlier, but he looks like a snitch. Anyway, she tells him, and he immediately bolts out of the house and runs to the Albert house to save Ashley. Nah, I'm just f***ing with you. He runs upstairs and looks at the tiny door. Okay, got another question. Why is Ashley still moving through the smoky house? If a fire is producing that much smoke, she would be hacking and coughing and probably starting to get short of breath. Now you might say, well, she would keep looking if she thought her brother were in danger, but look at her. There's no urgency there. She is completely unaware of the fire and the fucking smoke surrounding her. You want her to be casual, then don't have the smoke all around. Keep it contained to the room where the fire is until she opens the door, and that's when the vision from the tiny door happens. The writing and direction in this episode is ruining it.
Maybe we could just forget it ever happened and start all over again?
Justin figures out that what he is seeing is happening in real time. He uses the key on the door and it transports him to the house just in time to... no pun intended. Just in time to save Ashley. Now, what was his plan if that key didn't turn the tiny door into a magic teleporter? I don't know, but that's beside the point. They try to escape but find themselves trapped. Justin realizes that the door at Sardo's shop must be the outdoor, since he had the indoor. Y'all know how doors work, right? Like, regardless of which way the door opens in or out, like, you can still go in and out of them, right? No? Okay, whatever. At the shop, we can hear Justin calling for Sardo to open the second door.
What are you waiting for? Do it!
Sardo takes his sweet time, but opens the door, resulting in... With the kids okay, Sardo seizes the opportunity to get another sale in by offering Justin the door's triplet.
Yes. It's actually 3 of a kind.
Okay, now that's just silly. The first door was an indoor, the second door was an outdoor, so the third door, what, goes both ways? Or like one of those doors in the Winchester Mystery House goes to nothing? I mean, in any event, I guess it's good that Justin didn't randomly end up with the outdoor to begin with. Anyway, Justin declines and the tale ends with Justin and Ashley going to the dance together while Gary narrates.
Whenever a door's open, it always leads to new possibilities.
Back at the Midnight Society, Tucker steals the crystal ball and starts joking around with it in typical Tucker fashion until Kiki has had enough, bringing some serious mom energy to the party.
I see a little guy, and he's being pounded by a big guy with glasses. Later.
Now for the review. A lot of people thought this tale was middling but gave it a pass. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that. I love the concept. The old notion of accidentally creating the future you're trying to avoid is great, and maybe if Gary had ended this with a dark twist, I might have a different opinion, but, since you probably weren't allowed to burn a child to death on a kid's show, even though we already got away with that in another episode, this really didn't do much for me.
Have you seen our vomit?
The settings were fine. We had a school, Justin's house, and the Albert house. The first two, there isn't much to say about. The Albert house had real potential, but I have two issues with it. One, we don't spend much time in it, and two, the curtains don't match the drapes. And what I mean by that is that we see the building has a stone exterior, but all the interior shots that show exposed wall, they're all brick. And I know the interior shots are on a set, but we couldn't get some fake rocks? I mean, those sections that we see are not big sections, so you didn't need that many. And no, I don't for a minute buy that somebody laid in brick behind the stone in that tower.
Oh, well, excuse me.
The story. It was fine. Just lacking some polish. This is another example of the short runtime getting in the way of the quality. It would have been nice to get a bit more information about the door or the Albert house, or if the door was exclusively connected to the Albert house, and if so, why? I don't think it was. I think maybe it was just a single-use item. You get one glimpse into the future, and that's it, and that's why it never worked for Justin after that one incident. Now, I'm not going to get into how I would fix the story because I already touched on many of those points during the recap. Now, I will say this. I did like the little tease of the mystery third door at the end. I mean, that could have been a sequel story, if this weren't the final season for the OG storytellers.
Really?
The scares. No scares in this one, and just like the last episode, that was intentional. This wasn't a scary story. It definitely leaned more into the Twilight Zone side of things, except, with a happy ending. There wasn't even a villain in this episode, or a bully. Thankfully, we did have some annoying siblings. Younger me wouldn't have found this one scary either, but it would have had him scouring every magic shop for tiny doors.
I have exactly what you need.
The acting in this episode was a mixed bag at best. There were actually a lot of kids with speaking lines, but I'm mainly going to focus on the leads. Ben was fine as the conceited best friend. He was just hard to understand sometimes, and while he had some bad line reads, he didn't have the worst one, but we don't talk about she who shall not be named. Ashley was great. She was the standout of the episode. I believed everything she presented throughout the story. Justin was okay. I actually thought he was pretty strong for most of it, but he also had some really awkward line deliveries.
Man, you gotta get over this.
The adult acting is excellent, and how could it not be? It was just Sardo. He brings his usual sleazy charm and had some really great lines for his final appearance with the OG crew. Thankfully, he makes 2 more appearances with Tucker's team as well as a cameo in the reboot.
But I'm losing on the deal.
Gare Bear, while I am fairly in the middle on this one, The Tale of a Door Unlocked does not meet the approval of the Midnight Society. And for those of you that think I'm being too harsh, he won't learn to not do accents when he tells stories if I'm not, okay? The Midnight Society members poll on this one was, at the time of recording this video, 84% in favor of, with 16% against, so I'm being overruled. Whatever, Gary. They wouldn't side with you if it weren't for those rugged good looks you hide behind glasses. I'll bet you don't even need those things.
Hey, this thing really works.
Thank you to my patrons financially supporting the channel on Patreon. Jimmy Purcell, Rick Maxwell, Sean Hart, Jay Booth, Tony Ebers, Jessica Tim, EC, JR Green, Emilio Flores, and AJN. If you want early access to videos as well as bonus behind-the-scenes content, the Magic 8 Ball is saying that you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. check it out at patreon.com/jackofallnerds. Or at least I tried getting Mattel to include that on one of the Dyson side, but they're not returning my emails.
Certainly there must be something I can interest you in.
I want to thank the following Midnight Society members for participating in this video's poll. And to do that, I shall consult the Magic 8-Ball. Wait, what? The girl of my dreams is waiting just off camera. Hot diggity dog! Names are on the screen! Hello? Oh, hi. No need to be shy. This is Destiny.
I've been waiting for you.
Wait, you're not the girl of my dreams. You're Marie from The Tale of the Vacant Lot. I am not licking those face sores again. Oh, man. I'm totally licking those face sores again. Oh, you don't get a taste for it. I can tell you that right now. What did you think of Gary's story? Did you see it as a kid? Would you assault someone with a pitcher of water because of something you saw in a fever dream? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out the next episode on The Tale of the Night Shift. Until then, are you afraid of the dark?
I'm changing my name. It's finally driven me out of my mind.
Thanks for watching, everyone. The Magic 8-Ball says if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, all your hopes and dreams will come true. No, sorry, I misread that. All my hopes and dreams will come true. So please do it.